Some losses are loud. They arrive as disasters, endings, explosions. But others are quiet. They don't break anything outright. They just stop being used. Tonight we're talking about Naberius, a spirit associated with eloquence, restoration, and the recovery of lost arts. And the question that he asks that doesn't accuse, but waits. What talent of yours has atrophied from neglect? Not what was stolen from you, not what was taken, but what went dormant because life demanded survival instead of cultivation. Because some gifts don't die, they just go silent. So join me now in and through the Static Seance. Naberius is not a spirit of beginnings. He's a spirit of return. In the old grimoires, Naberius is described as restoring lost dignity, recovering reputation, reviving eloquence, particularly after disgrace, exile, or a long absence. Symbolically, he governs what comes after you've been interrupted. After your life fractures, after momentum collapses, after you're forced to choose necessity over your passion. Naberius doesn't ask why you stopped. He already knows. He asks what you remember you were dangerous at before you had to survive. Because that unfinished business leaves a pressure behind. There's a particular ache that comes from a skill that you once embodied, not just practiced, but inhabited, and then you had to set aside. Not abandoned with ceremony, not consciously rejected, just neglected. And neglect is different from loss. Neglect will dim gifts, but it doesn't erase their origins. That's Naberius' quiet wisdom. There was a time in your life where something came naturally to you. A way of speaking, a way of listening, a way of shaping beauty, a way of connecting. And at some point that gift became inconvenient. Too slow, too vulnerable, too impractical, even too risky. So you adapted, you survived. And survival is not moral failure, but it does have a cost. Naberius governs that cost. The gift you left behind doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't demand belief, it just waits, patient. Dormant skill is not dead. It is patient. When I ask myself Naberius' question honestly, being what talent of mine has atrophied from neglect, it's communication. There was a time when certain people skills came easily to me. Small talk, reading the room, knowing when to speak and when not to. And just as importantly, knowing when to not overshare. Trauma rewires that. Instability rewires that. When life becomes a series of ruptures, whether through moving, losses, homelessness, communication stops being an art and it becomes a survival reflex. You speak to be understood immediately. You explain too much because you're so used to not being believed. You reveal too much because secrecy once felt dangerous. And this is not a flaw, it's just adaptation. But that adaptation can harden into habit. And habits can atrophy skills that once felt easy, graceful, and even subtle. Naberius doesn't shame that. He simply asks, is this still serving you? For me, those communication skills didn't vanish, but they did go quiet. Not because I didn't value them, but I didn't have safe places to practice them. When you're just trying to stay safe, housed, intact, eloquence becomes optional. Social finesse becomes secondary. You talk when necessary, you withdraw when it's safer. And that's not failure, that's triage. But Naberius doesn't rule triage. He rules restoration. And my second answer to his question was art, specifically drawing and painting. Writing never left. That mattered to me and stayed with me, and I'm grateful for that. But visual art, physical art, painting, drawing, creating with my hands, that went away. Not because I stopped loving it, but because I lost everything. Moves have a way of erasing continuity, and homelessness will strip you down to what you can carry. And you don't keep canvases when you're trying to keep yourself alive. You don't protect sketchbooks when you're trying to protect your body. So that part of me went dormant. Again, not dead. And that distinction matters, because dormant things ache differently. They don't scream, they pulse quietly. Naberius' question isn't about regret. It's about recognition. So in the past, what gift went unused? For me, it was the ease of conversation and the physical act of making art without pressure. And in the present, what skill aches quietly? And for me, it's the same ones. I still feel the absence of ease in certain conversations. I still feel the itch in my hands when I think about color and texture and form. And here's the crucial part, the one that Naberius really hones in on, and that's in the future. What talent will demand resurrection? Because some gifts don't ask politely forever. They don't punish you, but they will call you back. And for me, thankfully, resurrection has already started. I haven't had many opportunities to fully retrain my levels of communication in the wild, but I'm aware of them now. And that matters because awareness is the first restoration. And as far as the art, I've begun again. I've started to make visual work again. It's a slow process, of course, but I'm tying it into working directly with the Cartomancy Project and these 144 questions. And that's not by accident. Naberius restores lost arts by connecting them with purpose. I'm no longer just making art to make art. I'm letting it speak alongside what I'm already doing. And towards the end of the video, I'll be showing the 12 pieces that I've been working on. Not as finished monuments, but as living evidence that return is possible. That's the deeper teaching here. Restoration begins with return, not mastery. Practice can revive power way faster than belief. You don't have to believe that you're still talented. You just have to pick it up and practice again. Naberius doesn't care about confidence. He cares about continuity. Your voice was never meant to disappear. Whether that voice is literal speech, artistic expression, social fluency, or something else entirely, it didn't vanish. It adapted. And now it's asking if you're ready to meet again without shame. And there's a specific grief that comes with going back to something and not feeling as fluent with it as before. But there's also a quiet joy in realizing that fluency can be learned again and come into its natural form. And it's not as a return to who you were, but it's as the integration of who you survived into becoming. Wisdom in shadows means understanding this. Neglect dims gifts, but it does not corrupt their source. The origin of your talent is intact, and it remembers you. So if you're listening to this and something comes to mind immediately, a skill, an art, a way of being that once felt natural and essential, don't panic. That recognition is the ritual. You don't need to summon anything outward. Just ask yourself honestly, what did I stop because I had to? What am I allowed to return to now? And Naberius won't rush you about it. He waits, patient with that dormant power. And when you return, even clumsily, even imperfectly, he'll restore your momentum. Not all at once, but enough. Enough to remind you you were never empty. You were paused, and it's never too late to begin again. So stay aware, stay patient, and listen closely. The skills you neglected still know your name.